So guys, welcome to this brand new, I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on my own channel, so I won't say brand new channel, but brand new concept of video. So this is going to be a podcast talking about football in general and AC Milan. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'll be doing one every week or every 2 weeks. I'll let the information and stuff that I want to talk about build up, and I'll bring one out, and there'll be around between 30 and an hour in terms of length of the video. I'll always prepare notes, and I'll always prepare quite in depth, or at least do my research on some things. So I'll let you know information, and also just discuss stuff with the camera. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a good channel or a good concept of video, and I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy it. Before we start, I'm actually going to turn on my light because it might get slightly dark in here. So I'm just going to turn on this, even though it won't make a big difference, but it will make a slight difference at least. There we go. So, yes, welcome to, I'm not sure, I want to give it a name to this podcast I'm going to be doing every week. And I might put it up on 2 channels. I might actually put it up on 2 channels and see how it goes, and then just transfer it to 1 channel. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing yet. But we're going to get into the topics. I have a load of topics here on this piece of paper that I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about them in order of which ones I feel like talking about the most. So, basically, let's start with the most distant topic, which is the January Mercato, which was about a month ago now, maybe a bit more than that. Let's quickly talk about what the teams did. So basically, we'll go through teams one by one. I'm going to go onto my mobile so I can quickly make sure I don't miss out any teams here. So when I talk about football, this is mainly going to be European football and Italian football. It won't be Premier League based. It's mainly for Serie A, UEFA and Champions League and stuff like that. So yeah. So we have AC Milan. We're going to start with my team. For any of you that don't know, I support Milan. If you watch my other channel, if this has been put up on a new channel, then yes, I support AC Milan. If it's been put up on my own channel, you guys, most of you should know that, especially if you know me personally. Now, AC Milan, they didn't have a good Mercato in my opinion. A lot of people rated it. It was a big spectrum, because some people didn't think we needed players, some people thought we needed players. Personally, I thought we did need a lot of players, not a lot, but a good 2 or 3 players. We got Lazetic, who hasn't even been shown on the pitch yet. I haven't even seen him in the substitutes yet, personally. So yeah, we had Lazetic. That's the only player we brought in. We actually sold Conti, and I think we might have sold someone else as well. I know Conti definitely left. I think it was just Conti and maybe a few youngsters from the young team. I know we sold Kerekes as well from the youngsters. But those are the only Mercato things that I know about AC Milan. Now Inter, moving on to Inter, second place, they made a lot of deals. Well, not a lot of deals, they made 2 deals. Caicedo, who I don't think has really featured for them much recently, and Gosens, who is also injured. So they didn't make very good investments, considering they spent like 25 million on those 2 players. But obviously, when those 2 players might help them win the league at the end of the day, because realistically speaking, those kind of players help you win the league at the end of the day. And you know, at the end of the day, if they do become fit again, they could help them push for that league spot, especially if Correa stays injured for a long period of time. Now we have Napoli. Napoli, did they make any big signings? Off the top of my head, I don't think Napoli made a big signing. I don't think Napoli made any signings. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would search it up, but I want to stay flowing in this video, so let me know. There's always going to be some hiccups in these videos. I'm always going to be wrong on some things, but Napoli, from what I can think of right now, I don't think they made a signing. I think they were close on making a few signings, but they didn't actually make one. I know that Insigne is leaving. Insigne is leaving from Napoli to go to Toronto. Belotti was also linked with Toronto, and Criscito from Genoa is actually leaving to go to Toronto as well. So we have 3 players going to Toronto FC at the end of this Mercato, the June Mercato. So, Juventus, the team that spent the most and also did the most in terms of an Italian Mercato, they got some very good players in. They got Dusan Vlahovic for I think around the 70 million mark. They got Zakaria for like 8 million, which was a very, very cheap option for them. And then they also got in this young defender from Frosinone. I forgot his name, but they also got him in. They left him on loan at Frosinone for a few the rest of the season, and then they were going to bring him in. I think it was Gatti, Federico Gatti maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, they did a very good mercato, and I think that a lot of people thought that they might push for the league because of that. They are still 10 points behind with a game in hand, so who knows? If they win today against Empoli, they might push for the league, because that would mean they're only 7 points behind, and with all the big teams dropping points, which I will talk about soon, they could push for that title at the end of the day. And they have never not won a title with Allegri. Obviously, they won so many titles in a row that they had such a good team compared to other teams when they were dominating Italy that you would expect them to win the league. But Atalanta now at 5th place. I'm not sure if they brought in anyone. I think they brought in Boga. I think apart from Boga, they didn't bring in anyone. So Atalanta brought in Boga. Lazio brought in this left winger, which I can't remember his name, from Sporting. Seems like a very good, talented prospect. Fiorentina brought in 2 players, Arthur Cabral and Piontek. We'll talk a bit about those in a bit. Roma brought in Sergio Oliveira and Maitland-Niles, if I'm not mistaken. And then the mid-table teams probably brought in a few players here and there. I'm not exactly sure if there were any big moves from those mid-table teams. So I'm not going to go into that because I'm honestly not sure. But so those are the January Mercato. A quick brief talking to you guys about the January Mercato. Now we're actually going to move on to my predictions of the Serie A at the beginning of the season. So I made the predictions. I always do it, whether I do it on Twitter, whether I do it on Facebook, whether I do it on a piece of paper like I have here, or whether I do it in a video format, which I did on my channel a few years back or a year back. I made predictions of the Serie A. Now, these predictions are very wrong. I can already tell that they're very wrong. So we're going to start with them. Don't judge me. I'm going to go through them slowly. But yeah, they're not looking very good for me. So we have Roma in first place, which is totally off the mark. We have Milan, we have Atalanta, we have Inter, we have Juventus, then we have Fiorentina, Napoli, Lazio, Sassuolo, Hellas Verona, Cagliari, Bologna, Sampdoria, Udinese, and we've forgot someone here. Who have we forgot? Wait a second, because I'm pretty sure I left one of them out. Yeah, Udinese, then Genoa, Torino, Empoli, Sanitaria, Spezia, and Venezia. So that was my top, my Serie A predictions, and not many of them are spot on. I mean, Udinese are 14th, which is basically spot on. Hellas Verona are near the 10th place, which is basically almost spot on. But Roma, I just wanted to throw those out there just so you have my predictions. It's on this piece of paper. I did them at the beginning of the season. Don't ask me why I thought Roma were going to do well, but so let's get into the main topics now. So we're going to start with the top teams dropping points. Honestly, so 2 weeks in a row now, the first and second place have dropped points. Obviously, Inter have a game in hand, but Milan dropped points against Sanitaria, and they dropped points against Udinese, and Inter dropped points against Sassuolo, losing 2-0. And then they also dropped points against Genoa yesterday. There was a stat somewhere on Twitter, I think it was by IFTV or something, that Inter had 50 shots in these last 2 games and scored 0 goals, which is a major problem for them. They have one injury, if I'm not mistaken. I think Correa and Gosens, but Gosens, they just got him, so I guess it doesn't count in a way. But yeah, two major injuries for them. I don't know about Felipe Caicedo, but I know that those 2 are the major injuries they have. So they are missing 2 big players, but they also have such an in-depth squad that I don't think... and they have, what's his name? The player at the back, Bastoni. So yeah, obviously 3 quite big pillars, but I wouldn't say they're first team. I wouldn't say Correa, Gozens would be first team. Gozens and Bastoni would be first team. The others wouldn't. So, I don't know. I feel like, personally, this Inter team should be doing better. The Milan team should be doing better, for sure. Don't get me wrong. We'll get into that in a bit. Talking about Milan and Inter, I want to talk about their standout players this season, and in my opinion, Barella and Brozovic are outstanding this season for Inter, in my eyes. And for Milan, you have to mention Leao. Leao has been an absolute machine on that left wing. Literally, he creates everything for us, and literally just hats off to him, because he's an amazing player. And considering the way he started off at Milan, a lot of people were criticising him and stuff. Now he's literally shown what he's capable of, and in these last few games, in this whole season, he's been absolutely fantastic. So hats off to him. Not that he's going to be watching this, but hats off to him. Hats off to Rafael Leao. Absolutely fantastic player. And I am very happy for him. As I said, top teams dropping points. I think last weekend it was where literally every single team, apart from Fiorentina, dropped vital points in those top 8 spots. I'm pretty sure Roma drew against Verona. Fiorentina won against Atlanta. We had Milan drawing against Sanitaria, Inter losing against Sassuolo, Juventus drawing against Torino, Napoli, I'm not sure what they did, they drew against Cagliari, I think, and Lazio, I think they drew against someone else as well, which is absolutely not fantastic, it's absolutely outstanding, because, obviously people would say that it's scripted or whatever, but I just think it's good competition. This league has good competition, especially from the lower league teams. You have Hellas Verona, Sassuolo. Hellas Verona have one of the top scorers in Serie A. What's his name? The guy at the attack. Simeone. Yeah, he is fantastic. He's doing fantastic for Verona. He has slumped a bit in form, but he's doing really well. They have Caprari. They have Barak. They have so many good youth players that, realistically, when you think about it, Hellas Verona are a team that could even challenge for Europa League next season if they keep their star players and don't give them up to big teams. Sassuolo, another team that is doing absolutely amazing. They have Raspadori, Scamacca, Boga. Boga's left now, but they had Boga. Someone, I think it's Hamad Traore, they have as well. They have the midfielders were so good, and they replaced them very well, because Hamad Traore has replaced Boga, and they have a load of midfielders that have replaced Locatelli already. So the mid-table teams are doing very well, especially even Torino with manager Juric. They're just doing extremely well, and I think that next season, any of those teams, if they keep the players and the coaches, they could push for a European spot. But yeah, they're doing very well, and that is why I think they are. Torino drew Juve, Verona drew Roma, and Sassuolo beat Inter. So saying that they're mid-table and they're beating teams that are up there in the top 4, it's kind of very impressive when you think about it. Milan drawing to Sanitaria and Inter drawing to Genoa. Those are the 2 games that they cannot be explained, because Milan, they did well against Sanitaria. They did very well against Sanitaria. Their defence was very slacking. Manian, 2 mistakes on his part. So I don't know. I feel like Milan slacked in that game, but they did do very well on the attacking front. They just couldn't get the ball in the net, you could say. But realistically, when you speaking about that as well, Inter on the other hand couldn't get the ball in the net either. They're both slumping in form right now. They're both drawing and losing games. Which leads us to the talk of the Coppa Italia now. Coppa Italia is Milan versus Inter in the semi-final. And realistically, who is the favourite to win there? Because 2 games in a row, Milan and Inter have dropped points in the league. Inter have lost to Liverpool, even though they were okay against them. Many Inter fans said they were better than them. I didn't watch the game. I seen the stats. I seen the highlights. They were okay against them. They weren't anything special, but they weren't dominated in a way, I guess. So they've been losing games in a row, and they've been losing points. So have Milan. So who is the favourite there? I think who really wants it and who really wants to take a title this season will go all out in that fixture. And I think Ibrahimovic will actually miss that fixture, which is going to suck for them in my eyes. Well, for them, for Milan. So now, as I said, the top teams are dropping points. I don't know. I honestly, I was amazed. I thought that Inter would get the draw against Sassuolo, and I thought they'd win against Genoa. And when I saw that we drew twice before Inter played their games, we drew twice. So Inter knew that they had this opportunity, even with the game in hand. So they could have had 6 points. So they could have been 5 points on top of us, had the game in hand, won that game in hand, and been 8 points on top of the league. They would have basically had the league. It would have been their league to lose. Now it's literally both of our leagues to lose to one of the bottom teams underneath us, like Napoli or Juventus. Atlanta, I don't think they have a chance anymore. But like, if we can't keep dropping points like this, I think Milan's next game is Napoli. So we'll go and win that game. We will literally, trust me, we will go and win that game. Napoli today have Lazio. So we'll see how that goes. And Inter next week have Sanitaria. If Inter drop points against Sanitaria and we manage to get a draw against Napoli, so which would mean that we'd both be on a draw again, so we'd stay the same points, that wouldn't be the worst thing ever, because Inter would have dropped points against so many small teams. We have also dropped points against small teams, but then Inter have Torino, they have Juventus, they have Verona, they have all of these teams, Spezia, teams fighting for promotion. What is going on? Thank you for that. Anyways, yeah, so Inter have so many different games still that they need to play, and they are not easy games. They're not easy games at all. Seriously, guys. Fucking hell. Anyways, so I've spoken a bit about Leao. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. Piontek. Let's speak a bit about Piontek and Vlahovic. So Vlahovic moved to Juventus, and Piontek was a former AC Milan player. He dropped in form when the coach of Gianpaolo joined Milan. It wasn't the right coach for Milan. Piontek and Andre Silva were two phenomenal players, strikers for Milan that could have changed the whole Milan team for the better, and we sold them, and they were under the wrong coaches. Andre Silva with Gattuso did well, and then he had a slump in form, and then Piontek, he did well with I don't know who was coaching us at that point. Was it Gattuso? Or was it someone else? I don't know. It might have been Gattuso, it might have been someone else, honestly. But Gianpaolo, he wasn't good with Gianpaolo. He changed the whole style of play. And I don't think Piontek's a bad striker. I think when he moved to Bundesliga, he wasn't in the right state of mind. And personally, I just think that Piontek, he's good for the Serie A. And for a team like Fiorentina, which is a mid-table team, with quite a bit of pressure on them every now and then, I think he's good suited for that. I think we were wrong to sell Piontek and Paquetá, even though we got the value for them back, which was a good thing. But I don't think Piontek is finished. I think he still has a lot more to do, and with Fiorentina now he's going to show us that. Vlahovic, Piontek has scored more with Fiorentina than Vlahovic has scored with Juventus. But obviously Juventus, he has made a big impact. He scored 3 goals. 1 counted as an own goal, 1 was an absolute phenomenal goal in his first game for them, and 1 was within 30 seconds in the Champions League fixture. So obviously different scales of football, so you can't really compare them, but at the same time, Piontek and Vlahovic, I think it was the right parting. I think Vlahovic has gone to a bigger team, which he needed and he wanted, and for that amount of money, I'm not sure if it was worth it. 50 million, I would say. 70 million, I don't know. In terms of today's money and markets, maybe it is worth it, but in terms of money in general and how long I've been watching football, I don't know if that's the money that he was worth. Piontek, I'm not sure how much he went to Fiorentina for, but Piontek is an absolute phenomenal player. He's gone to Fiorentina. He hasn't scored any wow goals, but he's scored an amount of goals in a very few amount of appearances, which is very impressive for Piontek. Now, I want to move on to a few points on Milan and Milan specifically. So, a lot of people are very controversial with the Purely situation. Some people hate Purely, some people like Purely. Some people don't like him because he's kept the whole formation, the same formation for the whole season. But you can't. I mean, we haven't lost games. We've lost points, yes, but we haven't lost any major losing form. Like, I'm sure we'll bounce back in the next 2 games or something. So we can't change what is working right now. If we change the formation, the whole team would have to suit that formation. Like, obviously you can change to a 4-3-3, yeah, sure. 4-3-3 isn't a big of a change. But you can't change to a 4-3-1-2. You can't change to a 3 at the back formation because the players have to adapt to that formation. And it just won't work. It will just cause chaos, and it will cause a lot of even more. It will cause even more bad form. So the people that are saying that, I don't understand them, but they have their right to their opinion, and I don't personally agree with it. Purely in, purely out, a lot of people, because of these last 2 draws, and if they continue to lose points, they have Napoli, and I think we have another hard game coming up soon. If we lose against Napoli and Inter, or if we get 1 point and 1 point, I don't personally think he should even be sacked, even if we lose both games, but that's just me. He's done a very good job with Milan till now, and we're still in first, so personally, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's that deep. But obviously we do need to bring up a bit more form if we're going to actually push for that league title. But as long as we get into Champions League, I'm not that bothered, if I'm completely honest. Even though those last few games have been vital point drops for the league title, if we're actually aiming for that. So, yeah, another question for you guys is, I know a lot of Serie A fans are going to say yes, a lot of not Serie A fans, if you're watching, are going to say no. But is the Serie A the most competitive league in the world? Let me know. Because all the other leagues are basically literally 10 points apart in terms of league leaders, and there can only be like 1 league leader or 2 league leaders. In Serie A, Napoli, if they win today, they're on the same points as us. Juventus are literally, if they win today, they're like 6 points behind or 7 points behind, which means that the league is literally separated by 7 points, and it can be 4 winners for the league. So realistically, when you think about it, I think that the Serie A is one of the most competitive leagues in the world for this season only, and specifically for the season, I'm trying to say. And even if so, if anyone says, oh, European football, they're still at Inter, even though they're probably going to get knocked out. Juventus, even though they have a good chance of staying in. Atlanta and Roma are still in European football, so you can't say because there's no one in European football, because there still are. Now, in terms of, we're going to talk a bit about the controversial calls of Serie A, and specifically, I know there's been a lot of controversial calls. There's been some with Juventus, some with Inter, in terms of in favour and against. The some of Inter, I can remember that someone from Juventus did a really harsh challenge on Inter player, and instead of a red, he got a yellow. I can remember an Inter player basically elbowed someone, and he literally got a yellow, and he had a really big red bump on his face, and no one gave 2 shits basically. Yeah, what else was there? There was so many different controversial calls in other games, but I don't really want to focus on other games personally, because I don't know. Let me know the controversial calls of other games. Let me know if there were any major controversial calls of other games, because I'm sure there were. But I want to focus on these 3 controversial calls, especially I can't fucking speak. Specifically on AC Milan, because if we had these calls given in favour of us, we would be on top of the league by 5 points or 6 points by now, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think we'd actually be more than that if Napoli lose today. I think we'd be by 9 points or something like that if Napoli would have lost today and Inter would have lost their game in hand, or lost points in their game in hand. But it's absolutely ridiculous that referees, I know obviously some people are very skeptical and obviously would say no, or no, but a handball that obvious in yesterday's game, it can't be given in favour of them. Like, it just can't. In world football, you can't make a big error like that and expect it to just be forgiven in the few amounts of minutes that there is. It can't happen. Like, it's not meant to. Like, literally, people thought it was a Romagnoli own goal. They checked it. Didn't go down as a Romagnoli own goal, and then it still was given as a goal. I literally cannot understand how it even worked. the game against Spezia when the referee didn't play advantage and he whistled his whistle when there was a foul on Rebic, and then Messias scored and he just didn't give the goal. What was that all about? What happened there? And the Napoli goal of Giroud, I wasn't actually there. I wasn't watching the game, but I watched the highlights, and I watched some of the long highlights online. Giroud didn't even touch the ball, and they called him offside, and we scored. No, we didn't score. We had a scoring opportunity. Either way, I don't understand these consistent and repeated mistakes by the referees. It just doesn't make any sense. And even though we didn't play good, doesn't mean that you can just give a call like that and, oh, alright, you didn't play good, you didn't deserve to win anyways. It doesn't matter if we deserve to win anyways. It's just incredible how people think that just because we didn't play well, we deserve to get a call against us. It just doesn't make any sense. And there's also been handballs in multiple scenarios, including last game, that was given against us for no apparent reason. I don't understand it. There was whistles that were whistled before, and we were on attacks, and instead of giving advantage, he whistled to play back the play. I honestly don't understand. I don't get it. But anyways, moving on to another topic, we're going to talk about the June Mercato and the Ibrahimovic new contract. Now, the June Mercato, there are a few players of Milan that are willing to extend their contracts. Well, not willing to extend they need to extend their contracts. We have Leao, who's almost ready, Benacer, we have Romagnoli and Kessie, who are probably not going to extend, and then we have Kalulu. We have Bakayoko and Diaz that are on loan for an extra season after this season. Diaz will probably stay, but Bakayoko will probably leave or terminate his contract. Who else was there? There was two more loans. We had Messias, I think, is a loan, and also we had Florenzi. I would honestly I would leave Diaz for the extra season and then make sure that we get him next season. Bakayoko could be terminated because we're just not helping his career progress if we're just going to keep him on the bench. We could easily get a small, younger player that can just stay on the bench that can help us, or a very, very older, like a veteran that can stay on the bench and just come off the bench and help us. In terms of Florenzi and Messias, I would personally extend both of them, and if we want to switch Messias and a counterpart with Berardi, then so be it, we can do that next season. Now, the Ibrahimovic new contract. The Ibrahimovic new contract is actually rumoured to be at 3 million for another season, and then maybe with the option to extend the contract to next season, I think, as a manager player for the not for this coming up season, for the one after that. So I don't know. I think that would be a good idea for Ibra if he wants to accept that, but that's what I've heard online on Twitter and as such. Now, talking about the Brahim Diaz deal. Is Brahim Diaz the real number 10? Now, next season we have Adli joining and we have Pobega joining, two players that are officially Milan players but are actually out on loan. Now, Adli does play that cam position. Do you think, well, basically, do I think that Adli will be a better suit to that position than Diaz? Because Diaz right now, he is slumping a bit in form. He's not doing as good as he was at the beginning of the season and last season. So, realistically speaking, is he going to continue performing like this, or is he going to change it up and start to perform at his real potential again? Adli is doing very well with Bordeaux. Obviously, Bordeaux don't have the caliber of players that Milan do. So when he does come to Milan, he'll have to change some of his playing style, and he could show to be a real gem for us. A lot of Milan fans are really excited to see him. So when he does come, would you start Diaz or would you start Adli, is basically the question here. I would personally try Adli and see how he goes and keep Diaz as a backup. Now, switching back onto the Serie A instead of the just Milan talk, we can switch back onto the Serie A talk before going on to Coppa Italia and the European leagues. So, the European, basically my predictions, I'm going to give my predictions from now on who is going to be winning the league and who is going to be coming in the other positions. So basically, I'm going to be giving my predictions. So, in first, I'm going to give it to AC Milan. In second, I'm going to be putting Napoli. Third, Inter. Fourth, Juventus. Fifth, Atlanta, 6th Fiorentina, 7th Lazio, 8th Roma, 9th Verona, 10th Sassuolo, 11th Torino, 12th Empoli, 13th Bologna, 14th Udinese, 15th Sampdoria, 16th Cagliari, 17th Venezia, 18th Spezia, 19th Genoa, and 20th Sanitaria. Not many big changes, but Sanitaria and Genoa have been doing well lately, so it wouldn't surprise me if they managed to rack up a few points, but there isn't many games left, even though Sanitaria does have 3 games in hand, so that could prove to be very, very costly for the teams above them, and they could go down into 20th place. So basically, you've heard me say, but I'm going to repeat it. AC Milan, Inter, Napoli, and Juventus in Champions League. Atlanta and Fiorentina in the other European spots. Then we have Lazio, which might have a European qualification, in 7th. Then we have 8th Roma, and then the rest of the table. Then we have Spezia, Genoa, and Sanitaria in relegation. That is my prediction from now to the end of the season. There's still 10 games to go, so anything could basically happen in terms of them spots, but we'll see now what happens. Now, before we move on to the draws, I want to say I'm very impressed with how Genoa have been playing lately, and also Fiorentina. Fiorentina and Genoa this season Genoa haven't been great this season, but Genoa and Cagliari have both picked up a lot of points, a lot more points recently than they have in the whole entirety of the season, which is very impressive. Fiorentina, on the other hand, obviously always been finishing, even sometimes out of the top 10, and now they are basically within reach of a Champions League position. I'm actually going to change my prediction. No, I'm going to keep my prediction, because putting Juventus out of the Champions League would be a bit idiotic, especially right now when they just got those new players. But Fiorentina, I might actually change it. Fiorentina 5th, Atlanta 6th, and Lazio 7th. That's how I'm going to be doing them. So that is my predictions for the league. Fiorentina have been doing very well recently. They have a lot of good players. They have coach from what was the Spezia coach, I think he was, who just came in, Vincenzo Italiano, I think it was. He's doing very well. Now, I just wanted to let you guys know the Europa League draws are out. Atlanta versus Leverkusen. Lazio is out of the competition after losing against Porto, and Roma are against Vitesse. Napoli lost 5-3 against Barcelona this week. And the Coppa Italia, my predictions for the Coppa Italia is Milan goes through and plays Juventus in the final. If that doesn't happen, I want Inter to go through against Fiorentina, and Fiorentina to smash Inter. So that's what I want. Either Inter against Fiorentina and Fiorentina win, or Milan against Juventus and Milan win in the final of the Coppa Italia. And I think that's what will happen. One of those two. I don't think it will be Inter Juventus. It will be either Inter Fiorentina or Milan Juventus. And obviously Milan or Fiorentina are the winners of the Coppa Italia, in my eyes. That has been me, Leo Muscat, and I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. It's the first podcast. I think it was around 40 minutes long. I'll try and do it a bit longer maybe next time, maybe get someone else on the podcast. If any of you that are my friends that can speak English or Maltese want to join this podcast, and I know you personally, feel free to let me know. Obviously Serie A talking, Europa League, Champions League, not really about Premier League, but we might do one about Premier League one day, but mainly Italian football and European football. Let me know if you want anyone else on this podcast. Let me know if you want to join me, as I said. I hope you've enjoyed. Tell me if I've rushed through this a bit too fast. If you want to go a bit more in depth in some things, let me know. Any suggestions will help in the next one or for the next one. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed. Enjoy your football into next weekend, and peace.